TYT Sports, Rick Strom here, talking boxing once again. Obviously, when Floyd Mayweather is fighting, it's always worth a preview and a recap. Bringing in Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. Robert, how are you?
Everything is good. How about you, Rick?
Doing good. Floyd Mayweather, a 4.5 to 1 favorite. Before we get to the favorite, let's talk about Miguel Cotto for a little bit. You know what? He overcame that 2008 loss to Antonio Margarito. A TKO in the late rounds. Meanwhile, he dominated the first half of the fight. A junior middleweight titleist, four-time world champion, 37-2, 30 knockouts. He had this to say: in my case, he took away a lot of good things I had before, like confidence in myself, like being anxious to get into the gym to work, and all the trust I had in myself. He took that away from me. How much vengeance would you say, and how much did Cotto overcome from dealing with that loss, having to build himself back up when he was clearly maybe even the top contender in boxing at the time of that loss?
Well, it was a huge obstacle that he had to surmount. As you know, he was not expecting to lose to Margarito. He lost seriously to Margarito. He suffered a terrible beating. He got a terrible thrashing in the ring. And it did take him time. It took him time to sort of restore his confidence, his belief in himself again. And of course, once he discovered that Margarito's gloves may or may not have been tampered with, that's still sort of open to dispute. There was a reason, at least in his own mind, for the loss, for the terrible beating that he suffered. So the fact that he overcame that, the fact that he beat Margarito when they met at the Garden, is enormous in terms of Cotto's self-confidence, in terms of his belief in himself, and in terms of his believing, I believe, that he can be competitive with Floyd Mayweather.
Cotto literally had to fight his way back up into the ranks after that 2008 loss to Antonio Margarito. Here's what he had to do exactly. He beat Michael Jennings, he beat Joshua Clottey, and then he lost to Manny Pacquiao, which many deemed a shutout in some cases. He beat Yuri Foreman at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. He beat Mayorga, and then he ended up beating Antonio Margarito, his vengeance win. And when he won that fight, you could see how much emotion was filled within him. As he won, he stood up off his chair, he got ready for the later rounds, and after it was deemed that Margarito could not continue, he just stared at him. He blank stared him. So he has obviously overcome a lot of emotions riding in that fight. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather, we all know the story, 42-0, 26 knockouts. However, he seems to not be nervous at all as he faces a June 1st jail sentence in Las Vegas, Nevada, which will be an 87-day sentence. How come he is not, I don't know, he's a very confident person, obviously, but how come none of this has really set into his mind and been a distraction for him?
Well, I think he's really good at sort of blocking things out as he needs to block them out. Even though he has a 3-month jail sentence, a little less, facing him, it's not as though he's going to be working on the chain gang or breaking rocks in the hot sun. He's going to be in jail. Lockup is lockup any way you cut it. But he's a celebrity, and he'll be treated as a celebrity. He is not going to suffer the indignities that the average prisoner would ever suffer. That said, he's focused on this fight. I think he's really good at compartmentalizing what he needs to compartmentalize in order for him to function in the ring at his very best. And this is one of those instances. I mean, he knows what awaits him. He will serve his time without incident. He'll perhaps get off early for good behavior. He'll return to life as he knows it with more street cred than when he went into jail. And his career will continue.
You know, for Miguel Cotto, it's his third trainer in 4 years. Could you possibly tell me why it's been his third trainer in 4 years? Is it because when a fighter loses, they seem to dump that trainer and pick up a new one? I mean, what is it?
Well, I mean, that's part of it. But there are, you know, it's a trainer-fighter relationship is a very sort of intimate relationship. It's like father-son, teacher-student, mentor, whoever would be mentored. It's a very personal relationship, and because it's personal, there are personalities involved, and those personalities do not always mesh. There are sometimes differences of opinion. Sometimes the older man, the trainer, would wants his charge to defer to him, and of course his charge, in this case we're talking about Miguel Cotto, has ideas of his own, and if they are not in sync, there's no reason that that trainer and that fighter should be working together.
Mayweather's last 3 fights, let's get to this very quickly. In 2009, he absolutely destroyed Juan Manuel Marquez. 2011, he defeated Shane Mosley, pretty much destruction again. And then his last fight with Victor Ortiz. Many people know the legal sucker punch is what they deemed it. However, in that fight, I rewatched it again. I mean, Ortiz, he was closing the gap a bit. He wasn't winning at the time, I'd say, but he was closing the gap. He backed up Mayweather, which caused Roger Mayweather in the corner to say, start backing him up, and then Mayweather redeemed control of the fight. However, it seemed when the headbutt came, Ortiz was getting incredibly frustrated that he simply could not find Mayweather at times in the short four-round fight that he had. How much, when you're fighting Mayweather, let's say, let's start it off like this. When you're fighting Mayweather, how much of it is psychological that you can't get overly frustrated when you seem to not find him, be able to find him in the ring?
Well, when you cannot get overly frustrated, just as you put it. One of the reasons Ortiz got frustrated is because he is green. I mean, he's not a seasoned veteran. He's a young man. I mean, he's achieved a huge amount in his short career, but he is a young man, and he is not really experienced in the ring. And, of course, any emotion at all in the ring, whether it be anger, whether it be frustration, is going to be a hindrance to one's ability to perform, because boxing is not, it's not a thinking sport, but it's very intuitive. And in order for intuition to sort of work effectively, thoughts have got to be out of the way. You're relying on, one is relying on one's body, and whatever is sort of passing, whatever idiocy may be passing through one's head at any given time is really idiocy that one has to ignore. And again, Ortiz's failure to ignore that led him to headbutt, presumably. We don't really know, but presumably that was why he headbutted, which was out of frustration, which of course stopped the fight and led to his eventual demise.
Very quickly, going back to that fight, last question on it. Do we know who the referee is for this fight?
Boy, I'm not sure. I think I knew, and I think I did not pay any attention. It wasn't somebody who was controversial, which is probably why I paid no attention.
Is it Steve Smoger?
It could be. It's a possibility. I mean, Smoger would certainly, let them fight, and which is probably a good thing for Cotto.
Certainly.
But again, I mean, Cotto's going to need more help than Steve Smoger can provide him.
Well, Cotto is 31, Mayweather's 35. You know what? 42 have come up and 42 have come down. You know what? You've seen a lot of good fights. You've seen many fights throughout your long career in this sport, covering many fighters. Have you ever seen a fighter like Floyd Mayweather, and is there simply any way to beat him?
Is there any way to beat him? I believe there are ways to beat him. I don't believe that Cotto has any way to beat him. But I think Mayweather has him beaten both on the inside and the outside. But I see there are other great fighters in the past who could have certainly beaten Floyd Mayweather, but he's fighting in the era in which he's fighting. And he is, without question, the finest pure boxer fighting today. His skills are exemplary. He really knows how to use the ring. He understands his body. He's got complete control of his skills, of his assets, and he uses them effectively and efficiently. So it's not as though it's going to be easy for really any fighter today to beat Floyd Mayweather. And even though he is older than Cotto, in terms of actual years, in terms of ring years, in terms of ring wars, Cotto is the older man. One can simply look at their faces, and of course, Mayweather is as clean as a whistle, whereas Cotto, on the other hand, looks as though he's a fighter. He's got scars, he's got bruises, he's been battered, he's not a fighter who's hard to hit. And because of that, Mayweather's going to hit him.
Even when he wins, his face is still beaten up, battered, bruised. That is of Miguel Cotto. Meanwhile, I mean, I know that you were talking about, his slick, elusive style, and he knows his body, and, he has the great Philly shell defense, so elusive in the ring. But, I mean, if there was a blueprint, which I know many have tried to execute and probably failed in many cases, I mean, how exactly do you beat him? Do you back him up in the corner? Do you cover him like a freaking blanket? I mean, how do you do it?
Well, I think you have to look at his fight he had with Jose Luis Castillo, which I think was perhaps the fight that Mayweather may have lost and gotten a gift decision. One simply has to press him. One has to simply be non-stop and press him. One is not going to be able to out-slick Mayweather. Certainly nobody fighting today. So, but one can, again, outpower him. Look at the way Ricky Hatton fought. And Ricky Hatton is really just an elevated club fighter. And, of course, he got knocked out, but he pressed Mayweather. He made for a good fight. That's one way to deal with him. The other way is the way Jay La Hoya fought Mayweather, which is to use the jab. I mean, to treat it not as a rangefinder, but as an actual weapon. Let everything work off the jab. There are ways that Mayweather, at least one can be competitive with Mayweather. Again, playing his game, which is sort of trying to fight from the outside, one will never win. So I think one has to really go inside, all right? Again, the only way to get inside is by jabbing one's way inside. And again, press him to the ropes if one can. Press him into the corner if one can. But again, it's like trying to catch lightning in the bottle. I mean, he is a very elusive target. He really understands the ring. He really understands what his opponents are trying to do. But no man is unbeatable. That should be understood. There's no man alive who can't be beaten.
But Robert, is Cotto that guy? I mean, when we look at the contrast in styles, Mayweather's quick. As we said, he is elusive. His defense is phenomenal. He throws a lot of leading rights and then just slips right under his opposing fighter's attempt at a counterpunch. Is Cotto that guy that could possibly beat him? Because he's just a puncher. He punches from all different angles. Is he that guy that'll go in there, that'll swarm Mayweather and just throw a ton of punches?
I don't believe so. I think that's the fight he's going to fight. I mean, he will use his legs somewhat because they proved so effective in his last fight against Margarito. But I do not think that he's the guy. I think that it will be competitive perhaps for the first few rounds. But I think once Mayweather warms up, once Mayweather gets the range, once Mayweather understands what Cotto is trying to do, Mayweather is going to duplicate what Cotto was trying to do, but he will do it better. So if Cotto wants to fight on the inside, Mayweather can fight on the inside. If he wants to fight on the outside, Mayweather will clearly fight on the outside. I do not think that Cotto is the man who's going to beat Mayweather Saturday night.
Has Mayweather ever seen a puncher that plays the angles as well as Miguel Cotto does?
I don't think there's anything that Mayweather hasn't seen. I mean, he has studied Cotto. He understands who he's facing and what he's getting himself into. I think he has respect for Cotto as a fighter and respect for Cotto as a man, even though he said some things contrary to that. But he understands that he is a more gifted fighter. Yeah. And I don't believe it's overconfidence. I believe that's a realistic appraisal. And even though Cotto will come in, again, throwing punches from strange angles and such, I don't think it's going to be enough. Mayweather is simply too fast. I think his instincts are too keen. And again, Cotto will land his shots. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. But Mayweather will land more of them. And again, I think the longer the fight goes, the more it's going to go in Mayweather's direction.
I agree with you. I mean, let's get to what we think will happen, at least on my end. I know you just gave your insight. I think Mayweather will win in 12 rounds. Do you think that's about right?
I think that's about right. I also could imagine an early stoppage in the late rounds.
Okay, there you have it. Robert Exel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com. You could also follow him on Twitter at @boxing_com. Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you, Rick.